And welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. As always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making our show a part of your afternoon. And if it's a good day to do it, it's on a Friday because every Friday we call it a TGIF Open Line show where you get a chance to be the co host of GPS and we get to talk about whatever is on your mind. And so you, as the audience, play a very pivotal role in the success of the show on a Friday because I don't want to just be sitting here talking about myself for 2 hours. It's an opportunity for you to sound off and let us know what you think of the stories that made the headlines in this past week, or any social commentary or issue that you want to address, that you want to bring attention to. So, at the very outset, let's throw out the telephone contacts: 326-0271, 326-0271. One more time: 326-0271 or 326-0272. 326-0272. 326-0272. And the WhatsApp line to send us a message is 8010271. 8010271. Those are the numbers to call or send us a message if you want to chime in and be a part of today's show. So every Friday, we look back at the week that was. We talk about the big stories of the week. And boy, was this week jam packed. A lot to unpack from the past 7 days of life here in the Bahamas. And one of the big stories of the week was the industrial action that took place at the airport, with airport workers deciding to withdraw their services by means of sick out. And this sick out apparently was prompted by their union leader, Mr. Kingsley Ferguson. We all heard a voice note that was played in one of our shows early in the week with him saying, go to your doctor and get your sick slip for 5 days. We can lock it down. We can shut it down, for 5 days. So here we had a recording of a union leader telling his union members to go to their respective doctors and get a false sick slip, because if they ain't really sick and he writing a sick slip for 5 days saying they sick, then that's a false sick slip. And calling in sick for 5 days, and we gonna shut this thing down. Now, first and foremost, we do have laws to follow in this country, even as it relates to labor disputes. And that action was determined because obviously that the following day, his members did what he asked them to do, and for the most part, pretty much all of them called in sick. And the government went to the courts. The Supreme Court ruled that it was an illegal strike and that the workers had to return to work the next day. But that one day was enough to cause major disruption at the airport, where lots of people were very inconvenienced. The traveling public specifically was very inconvenienced. A lot of people, obviously, because of the long delays, missed their flights. And, many of them had to stay overnight to catch a flight the following day. And who knows what inconvenience that would have caused them. And government officials, responded saying, we're not going to take this lying down. And, they had some strong language. They did say it was, in their view, an illegal action, which was proven to be true because the courts sided with the government and said, no, this is an illegal strike. Because, like I said, we do have laws in this country as it relates to taking industrial action. So now we're dealing with the aftermath of the decision of the union president to tell his union members to go to the doctor and ask your doctor to write you a sick slip for 5 days. So, in our very first clip, we have Minister Keith Bell and Clint Watson. Now, Keith Bell is talking about the injunction that the courts had to give so that the employees of the airport could return to work. And then Watson brings us up to speed as to what took place with regard to negotiations with the union and the office of the prime minister after that action. So let's go, Jason, to the very first clip in the lineup.
We would have went to the Supreme Court and an injunction would have been issued to ensure that the individuals returned to work, and the action was deemed illegal. I'm pleased to report that while we do not have 100% of persons back to work, a number of the persons have reported to work this morning on the 4:30 a.m. shift, and as it all stands, all operations at the international airport has returned to some degree of normalcy. Let me say that, again, this is a government of transparency, accountability, and of course, we want to embrace all of the labor relations, all of the labor unions, and ensure that we continue to work with them. We know that there has been long-standing pressing issues, and as we, as a cabinet, seek to get through those, we ask all of the unions, all of the workers to continue to have confidence in the system, allow us to get through it. We all know that this is a very fragile time in our economy, and so we ask for everyone to be patient and allow due process to take its course.
Kinsley Ferguson earlier this morning in his office regarding the issue yesterday. They have come to an agreement to ensure that the union prepares its proposal. That proposal will be submitted to the airport authority executives. They will come together to discuss and negotiate amicably for resolution. He has committed that his staff members will be back to work. So far, we've heard that there's been no disruption to the airport this morning, and so that bears good news for us.
Okay, so for the record, the issue of contention, as far as the union was concerned, is that its workers, I think, are owed some money that has been owed for quite some time, not just since September 16th last year, which we know is the date of the general election, when the Progressive Liberal Party took over the administration of government. But the union leader decided to tell his members at this time to go and call in sick. And he didn't just tell them to get 1 or 2 days. He told them to get 5 days. So the thing is that even though most of the workers returned to work the next day, based on the Supreme Court ruling, issuing of the injunction, there were some workers who still did not return to work. Okay, it wasn't a 100% return to work, just for the record. And there raises some questions around this whole thing as to the motive behind that action. Because as we're going to play a clip in a moment, even other union leaders are now stepping forward and saying that particular union leader made a rookie mistake, shouldn't have done it. But it was done. So here's the thing now. No decision of that magnitude is made in a vacuum. You make that kind of decision, you're not just shutting down the airport for a day. but there is a ripple effect that happens that affects all of us. And so clearly, that action led to an economic, uh, had some economic impact. In other words, impact on the economy. To what degree and extent, we will know. It's difficult to say right at the moment, but we know that if you shut down the airport, the main thoroughfare, if you're inconveniencing visitors who just coming back to the Bahamas in, good numbers after a long, long wait because of COVID-19, you know there's going to be some economic fallout. I mean, it don't take a genius to figure that out. You know there is going to be some economic fallout. So when that decision was it made to make a point and get the attention of the prime minister and whoever else you're trying to get attention to so that you can speed up the process of what it is that you're trying to accomplish? Was that the only thing behind that action? Did anybody at any time stop to think of the economic fallout from that action? Um, because there is an impact as a result of that. Believe that. That's not just a little um, blip where you say, oh, well, they inconvenience people for a day. That's the end of it. And at least they got um, an audience with the prime minister. No, it's going to go further than that. As far as our economy is concerned, you better believe that. And in this particular clip, our Minister of Tourism and Aviation, Chester Cooper, talked about, I have it from here, Jason, talked about the impact on the economy and industrial relations in general. Here's that clip.
The airport authority has identified the people who missed their flights and promised them expedited processing through security today. So in terms of customer service, we're doing everything we can. The overall economic impact of yesterday's action is perhaps a significant number, given that many people missed flights, given the impact on the jurisdiction, our reputation, whether it discouraged passengers from coming. That's something we will have to see over a period of time. We haven't determined that yet. What we do know that we are committed to a resolution. We want to move forward in harmony with the workers. We are a government and administration that's labor friendly. We consistently say that. And the reality is that my mission as the minister responsible for aviation is to ensure a state of normalcy and to say to the workers that we will guarantee that they will receive whatever they are legitimately entitled to receive. That is the government's commitment, and we are working to ensure that that happens in the shortest possible time frame.
All right, so that was Chester Cooper earlier in the week, talking about the economic fallout. Here's the bottom line. Whatever that economic fallout is determined to be at the end of the day, that doesn't magically appear from the sky, but that cost is ultimately being borne by the taxpayers because they had to accommodate persons who would have missed their flights. We don't know how much that is going to cost us. And then I would suspect that they're going to have to consider ways to beef up promotion to offset any negative fallout from the bad publicity that we would have received, or the people bad mouthing the jurisdiction because of what happened there. So that's going to cost us. So at the end of the day, these workers, bless their hearts, their leaders got an audience with the prime minister, I understand, to work out their grievances. We're being told that they were asked to submit a proposal. So happy for you all. Wonderful. Great. Who can be responsible for the economic fallout from the decision that was made? Is anybody considering that? Because quite frankly, we can't afford, when I say we, the taxpayer, listen, man, we can't afford to be spending money willy-nilly. We ain't got it. We don't have it. So when you make these kinds of decisions, does anybody stop and think what happens beyond just the surface of the matter? Does anybody even care? And I want y'all to understand something. I am not anti-union. When I was a part of the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas for the 20 years I worked there, listen, I was all in with the union. I believe in the power and the necessity of a good union. And the BCPOU was one of the best. They made sure that the workers were not exploited. They made sure that they represented their workers well. And in my 20-year career at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, I sat on both sides. I sat on the side of being a worker as a part of that union, and I sat on the side of management and had to deal with the union that I was once a member of in negotiations and that kind of thing. So I am not anti-union, and I don't want y'all to think anything that I say here today is in any way a reflection of me being anti-union, because I understand the power and the necessity of a good union. But I also understand that you have to act responsibly. And that's why we have laws in place to ensure that you don't do anything irresponsibly. That, number one, breaks the law, and number two, as a union leader, puts your workers in jeopardy. You have to understand the laws that govern your workers better than anybody else. So whenever you make a rash decision, you have made that decision knowing that if I do this, this is going to happen, because I understand the law that governs labor in this country. So you never make a decision that could jeopardize the jobs of the people that you represent. That's just union leadership 101. Now, in case you think this is just Michelle Malcolm talking, we had a whole group of union leaders come forward and say, paraphrasing here, that was a bad decision because you are jeopardizing the livelihood of the very people that you represent. Why? Because the action was deemed to be against the law. And I don't want this just to be me and the clips. I want to hear from you guys out there as to what are your views on this. But I am going to play this clip next with several union leaders coming together saying, yeah, that was not necessarily a very smart move on the part of Kimsley Ferguson. Listen to this.
A rookie mistake was made that shouldn't have been made, and it jeopardized the workers. I think that the leader need to be more.
His controls, and obviously he doesn't have the pot open for us to hear, so I have to wait until he comes back to his controls. Anybody out there listening, please send Jason back to his control desk. So yeah, as soon as he comes back, we will play that clip for you with the actual union leaders saying that they don't believe that this was a good idea. So, you know, I just, like I said, I have always been a supporter of a good union. I believe unions are absolutely necessary to ensure that the workers are protected. But you got to use wisdom. You can't just be so hot-headed that you make a decision that could hurt the very people that you say you're representing. If anybody's out there listening, please send Jason back to his controls I need him to come and open an audio pod, please. So yeah, I want to hear from you guys. 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line is 801-0271. 801-0271. Okay, so let me go ahead and is that a call for the show or no? I want to play a clip. Okay. So here's a clip now with the union leaders saying that it was not necessarily a very smart thing to do.
A rookie mistake was made that shouldn't have been made, and it jeopardized the workers. I think that the leader need to be more responsible in the way he conduct his actions.
Personally, me, I probably wouldn't have made the decision to engage in full-on industrial action in terms of withdrawing labor at this time. You have to still be fair to the Bahamian people and fair to the administration. But he made a decision that he probably thought would have been best.
I think it could have been more responsibly done by the president. The employees only go what they are told to do by the union.
And I tell my members to strike or to stand up or to meet me at the waterfall, I know that I have protected their interests to ensure that their jobs are not jeopardized. And I think all union leaders ought to take the same approach.
All right. You heard it from the union leaders themselves. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good day, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Well, I'm your first caller, so at least I think I didn't hear the beginning of the show.
No, you are.
Okay. So I hope nobody complains today about JT talking because they ain't calling it. So.
It is what it is.
Indeed, it is. I'm not really calling regarding the matter with the unions.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that oil spill in Exuma.
Well, I do have some clips about that, and I'm going to get to that. But I wanted to cover the union situation first.
Well, allow me then to let you do that, and I'll hang up and call back when you get to that section.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I just have one more thing I want to talk about as it relates to the unions. If anybody has a question with regard to the union situation or a comment, give us a call. 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or the WhatsApp line is 8010271, 8010271. Now, I guess we could do one more thing as it relates to this whole situation of the airport sick out. Because what it does is it shines light on another problem that we have in this country. And that is what is being called the sick out culture. Where if I want to take a couple of days off, or if my union leader says I must take 5 days off to make a statement, I could go to a doctor, pay him a couple of dollars, and get a sick slip. We can talk about that in a second, but we have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, good afternoon, Miss Malcolm. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Okay, good. My take on this is that it was deemed an illegal sickle, right?
Yes, it was deemed an illegal strike.
Okay,
yes.
so where did the people who reported sick got the sick slips from?
That's what I'm talking about right now.
Okay,
they would have had to have gotten those sick slips from a doctor.
So the doctor name should be on the slips, eh?
Should be.
So the government need to chastise the doctors for doing that.
I would think so, but how do you what my question is this, because it's been going on for years, and my next clip is going to talk about that, where doctors are making a lot of money writing these sick slips for people who they know are not sick.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how it is that we've never seen a doctor brought before charges for doing this before, even though everybody knows that this is a practice.
It needs to change. It needs to change because it's open and bluntly right in the front of the Bahamian people. The people are about to work the next day, right?
Most of them, yes.
Okay, and they're supposed to be out for 5 days sick.
Well, that's what their union leader told them to do, get 5 days from your doctor. And we heard the recording that appeared to be the voice of Kingsley Ferguson telling his members, go to your doctor and get your 5 days sick slip. We shutting this down.
Okay, but in closing, you wonder why you pass some churches on a Sunday. And you say, man, let me stop to this church this Sunday. Let me just see what's that. And you go in the church and you see 2 and 3 people in the church. You wonder why the congregation just isn't there. It starts from the leader. Visit this church one Sunday and you'll see what I'm saying.
Man, don't do it.
Okay? He's totally out of order. Okay, you put a whole country at stake. Yeah, the government owe you their money. Ain't like the government job and say, we ain't paying you no money.
Right.
Or we ain't giving you this money. Give them some time.
Mm-hmm.
If the government get money for me, I waiting on. But I got to wait.
You and plenty of people.
Yeah, but I can wait.
They just slow. Everybody know they slow, but they can come.
Yeah, come in. And I jump smart on them. I make sure I go and sign something. If something would happen to me, God forbid, give it to my children. Somebody can get it. He ain't getting back to the treasury.
Right.
Somebody can get my own. But I don't like that what Mr. Kingsley Ferguson did. That was totally wrong. And for a man of God, he should have been set an example in the union leadership.
Well, here's the thing. He represents a group of people in the union, so he's going to do what he thinks is best in their best interest. But you got to do it within the confines of the law.
I understand.
And my point is, if you're the union leader, you should know what the law states as it relates to this kind of action. The fact that the Supreme Court was able to rule that was an illegal strike tells me either he don't know no better or he know better and just don't care.
He don't know the law. And then he wants to stand up and march up himself just because he's a Ferguson. He wants to march up himself to people like Obi Ferguson and people who study law.
Huh?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the leader said, that was a rookie mistake. Rookie mistake. Shouldn't have done it.
I'm not a part of no union, and I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
He couldn't get me to go on no strike.
Well.
Okay, well, anyhow, Mom, you have a good weekend.
Thanks for calling.
Yes, ma'am.
We have another caller? Caller, welcome to GPS.
Madam Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I want to make sure follow your protocol. Is this an open line show?
It is.
Yeah, because that unstructured, effeminate man from Freeport seems like to have a problem when I call your show.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm allowed to state my issue, right? Okay, thank you. Madam Michelle, I heard on another show this morning, a lady by the name of Cheryl Walking. She was executing the premise that my passion also believe in. And she did it so gracefully, she became emotional. I want to say, if anyone is listening to your show today, that lady Cheryl Walking, I would hope that she would call your show. I think she is promoting the traditional family structure. And Madam Michelle, she was so passionate this morning, she became emotional on the show. And I don't know who she is representing, but they're having some seminars about it. And I am so happy to hear someone, a sister now, a sister, so gracefully execute her premise as to what's going on with the traditional family structure. And there's a lady who normally calls your show. I'm going to call her out. And I think she should be a part of that. If she might have a problem with me, and her husband is my good friend, David, that part can be used to help to promote this social disorder that we're having in our country, with our young men killing each other, etc. I really believe this country can use part. But again, that Cheryl Walking touched me this morning. And I'm not easily touched. But she touched me as she get emotional, and she said she ended up in divorce through the spirit of selfishness. That was powerful. That what really touched me. And she also said, if I remember, sometimes they make mistake by chasing the man out of the home. And I just thought that I should share that because I hear it. I do promote my sisters. I do love my sisters. I have two beautiful daughters. I do, and I have a beautiful 89-year-old mother. I love them. Once they perform with grace, if our sisters could understand the power of grace, we will have better men in this country. Thanks for taking my call. And that effeminate man from Freeport, I want you to have a wonderful day.
Thank you for calling. All right. So back to what we were talking about before that call. This sick slip culture. Sick slip culture. Where doctors are knowingly breaking the law by writing up sick slips for people who they know ain't sick. Why? Because of the almighty dollar. Now, if you think that's Michelle Malcolm talking, I want you to listen to this next clip. I'll go ahead and play it.
There are certain clinicians, none of whom I will name, who made a living on sick slips. The fee for the sick slips were charged based on the number of days requested. It is a contravention of the Medical Act to knowingly or willingly attest to an illness that does not exist. And so if you as a medical practitioner are approached by an individual seeking to have you execute a fraudulent sick certificate, you are in violation of the law. And you are also unethical. This is not a gray area. This is black and white.
On a monthly basis, the Bahamas Medical Council deals with the complaints that we receive from individuals. That complaints committee writes that doctor, okay, and brings forth the accusations, okay, and then we investigate at those accusations, either suspending that individual's license or make it difficult for them in that perspective.
Okay, so that last voice was Dr. Dane Bowe from the Bahamas Medical Council, and then the voice prior to that was that of Dr. Dwayne Sands. I don't know. I've never seen, and maybe I just have missed it because I wasn't looking for it, but I don't recall ever seeing or hearing about a doctor losing their license because of this practice, because it's so deeply ingrained in our culture that it is like an accepted thing. I mean, if you're going to have a sick out that was that successful, that would mean that hundreds of people got their doctors to sign a piece of paper to say that this person is sick. I mean, by law, depending on your particular agreement, but by law, persons are allowed to call in sick, but you have to have a doctor's certificate. Some agreements say after the first 2 days, all this kind of thing. But the point is that hundreds of people didn't show up for work. And clearly, they were following the instructions of their union leader, who told them to go to your doctor and get a sick certificate for 5 days. So the union leader dictates how much time you can get off from your doctor. How's that possible? Because allegedly, all you got to do is take the right amount of money to this doctor, and you get as much time as you want or need. Now, if we know this to be the case, I agree with the earlier caller. Should we be looking at the names of the doctors that signed those slips and bringing some kind of action against them? Are they not also partly responsible for the economic fallout that this whole nation is going to face because of selfishness and greed? And when I say selfishness and greed, I'm not talking on the part of the union. I'm talking about on the doctors that sign in these sick slips when they know people ain't sick. That's pure selfishness and greed. So should they too be held accountable for this? Because there aren't too many people who would argue that this was not the wisest decision to take that kind of industrial action at a time like this in this country. And we now know it to have been against the law. Should not all players involved in this be held accountable? We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, Ms. Malcolm. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, that there was a racket going on a good while back where you had some persons that lost their job because of the same foolishness with six flips.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was over Paradise Island, the hotel over there.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a whole scheme, like they were getting these six flips like candy man.
Mm.
And I think one or two doctors had gotten caught in the net with that because it was unplanned. But these persons, some persons lost their jobs. I think many of them did lose, because I think the company sometimes they don't. Some people, the human resource departments, they're not really on top of things.
Right.
This particular company, they were, and they was a pattern, and the doctors, and just certain doctors that would sign these things.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue I have with this whole thing with the union leader is that to if you can do something, unions, they you have to be shrewd and you have to be ahead of the game when it comes with even with the strikes. But there's a process, right, that you have to go through with submitting, getting certificates from
Right.
the Ministry of Labor and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But even the sick out stance, even that game. What I think this social media, these voice notes, these are going to be, it's good, but it's going to be the detriment of persons and a lot of careers and what have you. Because to actually hear him, what he said on that voice note, the instructions that he gave, and I think that's one of the reasons why those union leaders came on the news last night.
Right.
Press conference, because you're laying out the plan right there live,
Mm-hmm.
and it's as if you want to do. See what I'm doing? This is what we're gonna do. There are laws and there are certain methods and there are certain ways that you go about doing things. And to hear him say, you go and ask the doctor. How would you go to the doctor? I would like to see those patients, those persons, going to the doctor and saying, my union leader or whatever, I need 5 days. How could you? The doctor tells you how much time you need off for whatever ailment that you might have. You understand? So to be specific.
That is if you're genuinely sick. But the problem is that we have such a racket going on that whatever you just go tell them how much days you need. You pay them for it. They give it to you.
Yeah, but the doctor, in all fairness, sometimes if you go to the doctor and some illnesses you can't see. If I have a headache or I have some spasm or something, and unless they tell me to go to get the test done or whatever.
Did you hear what Dr. Dwayne Sand said in that clip?
No, I missed that piece.
He said that there are some doctors who have made a living off of writing these false sick slips.
Yeah, they continuously do. But the thing is, like I said, you have to not because they're a doctor, that means you as a company should not, or government, whoever person cannot question them, because if a person is sick this week and they are sick again next week, or they're sick, it's continual. What you would want to see what's going on exactly, what the problem is. Sometimes the human resources would pull you in and they would ask for to find that they need a letter, they need some sort of explanation as to why is this person continually taking time off. Not as far as specifics, but there has to be something. They took a test or something, this or whatever, or I instruct them, I send them to the lab to do this or to do that. So, I don't think you should play with the sickness, because, see, the union leaders, they're going to get that check. They're going to get their money regardless. And that airport situation, what happened the other day, we just opened back up.
Exactly.
This country just opened back up. Persons who are trusting, they're coming to the Bahamas. They're coming here, and to be said, and then COVID. Did they ever think that with that place being cram jam and that place with that all that heat?
I really don't think they cared.
Yeah, but it's going to affect them. It's going to affect them, and I think sometimes The union is crucial and it's very important. But sometimes we have to be careful who we have leading in charge and who we choose as our leaders across the board in this country. So because sometimes people don't think, like you say, they don't think beyond the passion. They don't think beyond their hidden agendas or whatever just to make a point. Don't use people who are stressed out, who may, have whatever, but don't use people to make your point or to get your way. To see the Prime Minister, you start an office with the Prime Minister, okay, fine. Everything's straight, everything's signed off on. The judge said it was an illegal, whatever they call it, right? So that gave me pause to hear her say. I'm sure she looked at all of the evidence, weighed everything out, and made that judgment. So now, what is the authorities? What are they going to do? What are they going to do about those 200+ persons who didn't call in sick? Are they going to separate and find out where, or check with the doctors? You understand?
I hear you.
They refer to the doctors to find out who are these doctors. See if it's the same doctors who are signing these sick slips continually, even across the board with these persons who like to have these call-in sick situations and do investigations. Are they willing to go that far, or are they not?
I gotta let you go because I have
Thank you,
another
Michelle.
caller.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks so much for calling. I remember back in the day when I used to work at the Broadcasting Corporation and I was in management at the time. Somebody actually brought in a sick certificate from a veterinarian. Yeah, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Miss Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When I go to the doctor, what do I suppose to tell the doctor? It seems, Miss Malcolm, not only when I go there, but look who is telling me to go to the doctor and get a sick slip, a preacher of the word. See, this thing goes so deep. When I go there, tell him, doc, my head hurting, lying. And this gentleman, this union leader, no, he's telling them people to go to lie and get a sick slip. But yes, still, that's why we say we are a country, we are so corrupt. Maybe it happened else throughout the world, but I never hear that yet. Telling the people on national radio, go to the doctor and get a sick slip.
Well, clearly he didn't intend for that recording to end up on national radio, but obviously somebody who received it decided to share it, and that's how that went.
It just goes to show you how God is bringing out these people, because he maybe never going to say that, but it just goes to show you who is leading our country, these people. Now, with the gentleman for Long Island, I wonder if Michael Pendat ready to throw his hand in.
We can talk about that a little later.
Okay,
I got to take a break, though. So
Okay.
let me take this commercial break. We way past break time. Let me take this commercial break.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about the fuel spill. And we got to talk about this whole Gibson situation, because child things getting very interesting. We'll be back after these words of our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on this TGIF Open Line show. The numbers to call, 3260271. 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or the WhatsApp line to send us a message, 801-0271, 801-0271 is the WhatsApp message line. So we all saw where there was a spill of petroleum fuel in the thousands of gallons, over 30,000 gallons, I believe it was, that spilled into the beautiful waters of Exuma, as a vessel had been contracted to deliver fuel to that island, and somehow some, I don't know, faulty, hose or something is being blamed for this. But it was discovered that thousands of gallons of petroleum had made its way into the beautiful waters of Exuma. Luckily, it was in a sort of a little cove area, and it didn't go too much further. And they were able to contain it to that one area. And they're feverishly working as we speak, trying to clean it all up. Now, I have to say this, that I have done a lot of traveling all over the world, and to me, one of the most beautiful spots I have ever seen anywhere was in the Exuma Keys. Beautiful. It didn't even look real. I actually, for the first time when I was much younger, it was the Exuma Keys that helped me to gain a better appreciation for what we truly have in this nation as it relates to our natural, God-given beauty of these islands. And I remember a former colleague of mine, her husband is from Exuma, and we were there for some time, I think, covering an event or something like that. And he got some friends of his to take us sailing on a sailboat through the waters of the Exumas. And that was the first time as a Bahamian that I had actually done that. And I was just blown away by the absolute beauty of the waters of the Bahamas. And I wish more Bahamians would get an opportunity to really explore our islands and not just leave that to the visitors to do. So you could get a better understanding of how blessed we are to have been given this land by God. The Bahamas is one of the most beautiful places on earth. But the Exumas, my God. My heart sank when I heard of this spill in the waters of Exuma before all of the details came out about, the area it had spilled in, how much of it got into the water, all this kind of thing. Because I understand the ramifications of what a major catastrophe in that area would mean for this country, because a lot of really wealthy people make their way through the Bahamas and in particular the Exuma Keys, because it's one of the most beautiful spots on earth. And like I said, I've traveled all over the world. And I am never disappointed when it comes to the natural beauty of the Bahamas when I am in the Exumas. Just absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. So we got word that there was a spill. Luckily, the response seemed to be fairly quick in trying to contain it, and get, ensure that it doesn't go too far and clean it up real quick. And so here is a clip with a representative of BPL bringing us up to date on the efforts to clean up that fuel spill in Exuma.
Right now, we are in recovery mode, trying to recover the fuel from the water. Right now, so far, we should have recovered about, I'll say, anywhere between 15 to 20,000 of the gallon that was spilled in the water. We used the bomb method to secure the area to make sure that fuel wouldn't be able to pass that barrier, and so we barricade the area with what we call the bomb. Now we have that there, we have that in place, and you see in some areas we have a second layer so that even if fuel were to go past, it's still contained in this area. Normally with petroleum, what happens is that the water settles to the bottom and the petroleum comes to the top. And the petroleum that comes to the top is about 1.5 inch on top. So we're using a skim method to take the recovered fuel. And what we're using buckets. I know in some areas they have more better equipment, but for us here on the island, we have buckets. We use a 5-gallon bucket, put it just below the surface so that we can have more fuel that comes into the bucket than water, and then we use a suction pump to suck into ISO containers and fuel trucks. In all, by tomorrow afternoon, we want to be done with recovery, and then we'll start to clean the area by using some sort of solution to put in the water that will break up the petroleum, and the rest of it will dissipate into the water, and the tide will flow, and the waves will be able to take it out and flush it, and it dissolves.
All right. So, JT, if you're going to call back to discuss this issue, now is the time. The telephone numbers to call 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272. WhatsApp line 801-0271. Even the environmentalists have said that they were very, very relieved to see how quickly this was being dealt with and how efficiently it's being dealt with. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, JT. Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
I can barely hear you on the phone.
Okay, not sure why.
Okay, a little better, yeah.
Okay.
I too had a ouch moment when I first heard the news about the oil spill. And, Michelle, for me as a Bahamian, for many, many long years, actually from the primary school days at Shirley Primary, I fell in love with the natural beauty of this country. Before I lost my sight, our 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Canlon, an English lady, used to take the sixth grade class out to Montague and teaching us how to swim, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle, I can even remember now. She is so many years later, 48 years later. I can still see the beauty of this country in my mind's eye. And I've never been to Exuma, at least not for any period of time, to have appreciated the beauty. Actually, I lost my sight well before I could travel.
Mm.
But from what I've heard, everybody saying, like you were just saying, how beautiful the Bahamas generally is, but the Exuma Keys in particular. And it's said that the astronauts from space, when they look down on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
that the most beautiful spot on the planet, according to them, is the Bahamas.
Waters of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle, the thing that comes to mind is this thing called fossil fuel.
Mm-hmm.
The use of toxins to constantly fuel our energy needs in this country.
Mm.
You have now the environmentalists who are up in arms, and rightly so, and I support them, in regards to banning oil drilling. And I would dare say, Michelle, we need to get to the point in this country now where we even ban the use of fossil fuels to generate. Now, I know that may be a little extreme for some people, but Michelle, in order to have an end, one must have a beginning.
Mm.
And for the longest time, we have been crying out in the Bahamas about our environment and about the fuel and how harmful fuel is. But we have been either slow as a nation in acting upon those concerns, or in many instances, we haven't acted at all.
Right.
So for me, it is tragic, yes, that this spill happened, and I wish to God it never did happen. But now that it did happen, unfortunately, I hope we sober up big time in this country. Because, Michelle, God forbid, you have an oil tanker going through this country, have an accident, and something like that happens. Remember the Exxon Valdez in Alaska?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 80 somewhere. 20 plus years after that oil tanker broke up, not broke up, got punctured on those reefs in Alaska. 20 years they were still finding oil
Mm-hmm.
washing up on the shores in Alaska. We had a scare here some years ago when that oil.
Equinor.
Yes.
We can talk about that because they still finding oil on the ground in Grand Bahama. We can talk about that.
Really?
Yes.
Now I'm referring to the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, mind you.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about.
No, not Equinor after. No, not Equinor after Hurricane Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good point too, and I probably will end with that. But my point is, years ago when Oil DeVoe had been the minister responsible for the environment,
Mm-hmm.
I can remember him coming on TV. Michelle, that man was so frightened by what he saw on satellite in respect to that oil spill drifting toward the Bahamas.
Mm.
And I mean, if we Bahamians never understood the value of our natural environment before, I honestly believe now that far many more of us have gotten to the point of valuing and appreciating what God has given us. And with that Equinor spill in Grand Bahama during the time of Dorian, Michelle, for all of the hundreds of millions of dollars that company or companies like that earn, the government should have penalized them big time in respect to properly and completely cleaning up that spill over there.
They got away with a slap on the wrist.
And you know what? I tend to ask when I hear stuff like that, Michelle, who got paid off? This cynical view that I just expressed, many Bahamians are forced into having that attitude because they're constantly seeing foolishness like this happening, where in a multi-million-dollar company gets off with a slap on the wrist financially. Now, they didn't cause the damage Hurricane Dorian blew the tank off of their
Well,
cover off of
now,
that.
with
Fine.
regard to that,
Well,
I have heard reports
uh-huh.
that during some kind of high level meeting prior to the storm, because storms aren't like tornadoes. You see it coming, you know it's coming, so
Yes,
you can
exactly.
prepare.
Yes.
And there are reports that there was a meeting where a Bahamian
Mm-hmm.
allegedly brought up the fact that they needed to secure the lids on those tanks in anticipation of the storm.
Yeah, I heard
And
something like that.
allegedly, someone from Equinor, in essence, told them to shut up. They didn't want to hear what they had to say.
Oh.
Allegedly. Well, if it's, anyway,
If
there's
that
alleged that conversation took place.
if
That
that
somebody
allegation,
tried to warn
mm-hmm.
that we need to secure the lids,
Mm-hmm.
and they were dismissed. Not dismissed in terms of being fired, but
Right.
ignored.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
Their
next
plea
thing you
was,
know,
yeah.
Dorian comes through, and we all know what a monster Dorian was.
For that arrogance alone by Equinor, that should have been at least a good $50 or $60 million fine placed on them.
Well, even though he made the mistake of talking about had what 3 birds and 1 goat, that's what it was. To his credit, Ramald, I can never pronounce his last name, Ferreira. When he was Minister of Environment, they did introduce legislation to significantly increase the fines that one could levy against such companies.
500,000, I think.
It went from $5,000 to I think I heard 30 million that they could charge.
Really?
If I'm not,
I just came across that article on the Guardian this morning, but I didn't see a $30 million figure. I mean, I probably.
I'll have to double check it. I have to double check it just to make sure I'm
right.
not giving misinformation. But anyway, it is significantly increased.
Mm-hmm.
So to his credit, he did do that.
Right.
Right. But still, during their management, during the past administration's management of that whole situation, I don't know why they were so willing to cater to Equinor and not require Equinor to be responsible, truly responsible for cleaning up the mess that created.
That their negligence apparently and allegedly caused.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Michelle, again, my dear lady, it brings the question to bear. Who got paid off? Michelle, I hate always to have to be coming back to this point of corruption. But corruption is so embedded in our country's society, unfortunately, that one cannot help anymore question if there has been some under the table dealing to shut up or to shut down things that ought not to be shut up or shut down. Because with that, Michelle, I mean, how many acres was damaged by the spillage, Equinor's spillage over there during Dorian? I don't remember hearing the amount of acres, but I understand it was a large area forest that was destroyed.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember the exact acreage, and I'm trying to find the I'm online now trying to find the information. But go ahead.
Yeah, one cannot pay. One cannot pay for the loss of one's environment when that environment is something that you survive off of. As a matter of fact, just a case in point. Did you hear what's happening in China right now with those floods?
Mm-hmm.
China is being literally destroyed in those areas where those dams have burst because of Mother Nature taking vengeance on us human beings, I suppose, abusing and misusing. Now that's my interpretation of it.
Right.
But over here, I pray God we never have another hurricane like Dorian. But Michelle,
with
God forbid
with the threat of global warming.
Yeah.
I don't know if that prayer can be answered. I
boy,
hope you're right.
And this summer is a hot one, boy. Michelle, I honestly, I'm a little concerned because
exceptionally warm waters.
If Dorian, not Dorian, if Equinor, I understand they're in the process of selling their company here in the Bahamas. But if that company was allowed to get away with such arrogance and irresponsible behavior, what what would happen in this country? God forbid another Dorian was to come by and cause the same kind of environmental impact.
Hmm.
Are we going to let another company get away?
Hmm.
So, Michelle, again, back to the oil spill in Exuma, and I'll conclude by saying, I mean, I wish I could literally see where that spillage was, but anything called Exuma for me, Michelle, oil spill, even if it was 1 gallon, is bad news. And it was 30,000 gallons. So I hope they got it all up or will get it all up in short order. But I don't know, we as human beings and Bahamians, we gotta get some sense, man. We
So I
cannot.
found an article
Mm-hmm,
from the Tribune. This was written in December of 2021.
mm-hmm,
And it says a new report has found that despite 18 months of weathering and remediation at the Equinor site in Grand Bahama post
mm-hmm.
Hurricane Dorian, there remains high concentrations of oil in and around the area. It is likely high enough to negatively impact wildlife that may be exposed. According to the report by the Bahamas National Trust, nearly 5 million gallons of
Oh man,
oil that were
ouch.
spilled from the facility during the Category 5 storm was spread over wetlands, pine forests, and a quarry. As a result, approximately 31 acres of terrestrial habitat has been removed from the oil spill site and will require revegetation. In the quarry to the north of the spill site, there remains oil residue on the surface, and this site also requires remediation.
5 million gallons of crude oil.
A lot more spill than that.
That's our Exxon Valdez right there. Michelle, a lot of us Bahamians don't understand how dangerous that is. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Just for example, and I will do my best to end on this note. But can you imagine putting Western oil, for example, in a tub, and then you go you fill that tub with water, half full with water, and then the top of it has Western oil on the top. And Western oil we know is good for cooking.
Mm.
But you go in that tub with that Western oil, and you go under that water, and under that oil, and you come back up, and every inch of your body, every inch of you, got oil stuck to it because of the stickiness of oil. If anybody can imagine that, just imagine what 5 million gallons of crude oil, sticky, gooey gunk, has done to the land in Grand Bahama.
Mm-hmm.
And you can imagine if you can imagine how you would feel with all that stuff all over your body in that hypothetical I just put. Michelle, we honestly, thank God, a lot more Bahamians have become more aware of and sensitive to protecting our environment, but we really and truly need to do more and do better because God forbid if we have something catastrophic like an oil tanker going aground in this country. Oh Lord, pray God, please God, never let that happen.
Well,
And anyway, Michelle, thank you for your time, and God bless, and have a great day and weekend.
thanks so much for calling. There's another article here from the Tribune where Kwesi Thompson is asking if the government is asking about the status of the possible sale of Equinor, and whether it would remain, um, whether it will ensure sufficient funds are left in place to clean up any remaining oil spill in East End. I just find that very fascinating because, quite frankly, when that whole thing happened, more than 100,000 barrels of oil were spilled at Equinor South Riding Point facility during Hurricane Dorian in September of 2019. And the response, many people thought, was lacking because there seemed to be a reluctance on the part of the government to say to them, all of these millions of dollars you're making, you are responsible for cleaning this up and doing it properly. And I find it interesting now that we're hearing that from Kwesi Thompson. There were persons who lost their businesses in Grand Bahama because of that oil spill, who today still have not been able to reopen their businesses because of the amount of oil that is still sitting on the ground. Here is one of those business persons talking about the fact that he doesn't know who the current administration has been listening to when they say they're satisfied that it's been dealt with. But if they take some time and come and see for themselves, they would see that it has not been fully dealt with, and it is still a problem. Here is that clip.
If you walk the site, like from the sides and the back, you could see residue oil spill around the property, but they start to clean the front part of the property, but they still haven't cleaned where it's supposed to be cleaned, how it's supposed to be cleaned. I think they actually just look a blind eye at this, because this oil spill, I had the 25 employees, right? I shut down my company, right? And I keep reaching out to Equinor, keep reaching out to the government, and it's like, they're not even understanding. They probably could be satisfied based on what they was told, but I don't think they'll be satisfied if they come and actually walk this entire site and see actually what's going on. I don't think the oil company really respect the humans, because the way they go about things, they totally disrespect the humans. And the government really needs to look into the situation and trying to get all of this oil problem resolved.
So, we have to question whether or not, as Kwesi raised the question, money from this sale that happens will be earmarked for doing a proper job of cleaning up that oil that they should have done 3 years ago. For the life of me, I do not understand why they just gave them a slap on the wrist. And we're supposed to pretend that it's just going to all go away. Hopefully, I don't know what could happen at this point 3 years later, but hopefully they are made to account before they pack up shop and get out of here. So there's a stark difference, it seems, between, although be it the fuel spill in Exuma was, minuscule compared to the Equinor spill in terms of the amount of, spillage. But the approach seemed to be very rapid in the Exuma situation. And they were able to, it appears, contain it well. And they're making very good progress in cleaning it up. And I wish them well as they continue to do so, that, we don't see any long-term fallout from that, because Exumas are just too precious a jewel to have damaged in that way. But I really do hope that the authorities will ensure that before Equinor gets out of this country, they fix the problem that their negligence caused. Beyond 3 birds and a goat, or whatever the numbers were. We're going to take a quick break. Now, y'all know we got to talk about the Adrian Gibson situation, right? Because all kind of people now deciding they turn in Crown's witness. This getting deep, y'all. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Youngevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here on a TGIF Open Line show where we discuss the week that was. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line, if you'd like to send us a message, is 801-0271. So, a parking lot attendant pleaded guilty to 16 charges yesterday in the high-profile corruption case involving the Water and Sewerage Corporation. And I'm taking excerpts from an article that appeared on EWNews.com. Tanya Demerit made a plea deal with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions that allows her to avoid jail time if she maintains good behavior, pays a $10,000 fine to the Water and Sewerage Corporation, provides a witness statement, and testifies about her role in the alleged scheme during the upcoming trial. She was placed on a 3-year probation as part of the deal, and if she fails to uphold the terms of the agreement, the penalty will be 2 years imprisonment. Her plea deal, which was formalized before Magistrate Carolyn Boat Evans, comes several weeks after it was reported that Alexandria Mackey, the ex-fiancée of Long Island MP Adrian Gibson, struck an immunity deal that requires her to testify truthfully in the trial to avoid prosecution. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. Hello, caller.
Hello, Miss Malcolm.
Hi, you're on the air.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
What I want to ask you is, before I get to this, to the oil spill, what happened to the the freight with all that oil was going down to one of these keys and sank a couple of weeks ago.
What happened to what?
The 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 boat was carrying the oil down to one of the keys, and some boat ran into it and caused it to sink.
I am not sure. I would have to do some research to find
That,
out.
that, that only happened about in 6 weeks yet, I don't think.
Okay. I can't comment on it because I'm not. I would have to search it up.
Yeah, check it out. Say this yacht hit it from the back,
Hmm.
and the boat sank with all this oil on it.
Okay.
I'd like to know how much gallons been on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling. All right. So let's get back to the Adrian Gibson situation. Here is a report by Eyewitness News about demerit turning Crown's evidence.
43-year-old parking attendant and mother Tanya Demerit, who, as part of the deal, pled guilty to 16 charges, which are 2 counts of conspiracy to commit bribery, 3 counts of bribery, 2 counts of fraud by false pretenses, 3 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud by false pretenses, and 6 counts of money laundering. It is alleged that Demerit was made director of Elite Maintenance Incorporated Limited, a company which reportedly received contracts totaling over $100,000 and was red flagged as being irregular in that water and sewage corporation audit prompting this investigation. It is further alleged that Demerit offered and conspired with a number of persons to induce Gibson to procure and execute capital works contracts for landscaping and repairs. Prosecution also claiming that the parking attendant defrauded the corporation over $700,000 worth of contracts. And as it relates to money laundering, they allege she acquired and transported $22,000 worth of vehicles to Gibson's alleged Long Island-based rental company. Now, as a part of a plea agreement authorized by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Franklin Wilson, Demerit will spend 3 years on probation for all 16 counts. She will also have to compensate the corporation by paying $10,000 on or before July 29, 2022. Failure to do so will result in 2 years remanded in the Bahamas Department of Corrections. And of course, Demerit, who allegedly aided Gibson, will now have to testify against him under oath and provide the court with a witness statement. The remaining 101 counts are left to Gibson, who was made to respond to 56, his cousin Rashay Gibson with 21, his campaign general Joan Knowles with 15, as well as former general manager of the corporation Elwood Donaldson, who received 7 charges, Jerome Missick with 22, and Peaches Farquharson, who received the lesser of the bunch, 2. All of them, including Gibson, now on bail.
Okay. Yeah. This is very interesting indeed. You know, in the US, they say the trial of the century. I think in the Bahamas, this Gibson trial is going to be the trial of the century. But who knows? With all of this going on in this country, we may think that's the trial of the century till another one comes up. But while I think it is important to say that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, we now see 2 people, Demerit and the former fiancé of Mr. Gibson, both being willing to turn Crown's witness to escape further penalty to themselves against Mr. Gibson. Now, my question is this. That wasn't no little $5 that they're alleging in this whole situation with Demerit. Just Demerit I'm talking about today. So she gets fined the $10,000 that she has to pay back to water and sewage. But I was hearing figures like 700,000, 100,000, 22,000. So who accounts for that? Will that ever be paid back if it is found that Mr. Gibson is found guilty of anything? We don't get the money back? Is that a call over the show? No. I'm just wondering how this works. Because that ain't a little bit of change, y'all. And quite frankly, this or all of this, no matter what the outcome of this trial is, it sort of lends credence to the whole perception that a lot of people really just get into politics. So for at least 5 years, they could become rich. They could line their pocket. They could set up these fake companies to just enrich themselves. So you get as much as you could get in these 5 years because you ain't sure we can go beyond the 5. So you fight like you know what to get in the house or get in just so you could get access to the cookie jar. That's the perception out there now. That a lot of people who running for office ain't running for office because they care about the country and want to make it better. They running for office because they see this as an opportunity to enrich themselves and their friends, families, and lovers. Now, if it is found that I don't want to just me be talking. I need y'all to chime in here. 3260271, 3260272, or 8010271 is the WhatsApp line. If it is found at the end of the day that what prosecutors are alleging in this case really did go down, are we going to get any of that money back? Regardless of who go to jail or who don't go to jail. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Miss Michelle Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. C. Allen Johnson.
Hey, C. Allen.
How you doing? I got two items. Oh, but just first on that deal for giving the money back, we got to find out, even though if some bribery occurred, did they actually perform the services satisfactory? Because they may have actually did the work, but may not have been satisfactory. She may have been satisfactory.
Right.
Because they're not saying that the work was fraud. It says that the process was corrupted.
Right.
But the two things I want to speak about. The first one is Grand Bahama. The second one is the oil spills.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is on Grand Bahama. But when I talk about Grand Bahama, I'm talking about the economic picture. I think sometime next week I can talk to you over the weekend. We're going to have a conversation concerning the economic outlook of the Bahamas. We right back to the prediction we made about November, before the election being called in September, before November, because of the economic picture we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
We right back to facing that. And so when you look at the fact that this administration has not made any major closure on any type of major investments during this 1 year, and the fact for the last 3 years, we have not met even our minimum foreign direct investment inflow into the country. If you listen to the experts who spoke about the $13.1 billion revenue loss over the 3 years on Grand Bahama and Abaco, one of the things that they did not do is they did not add into that, because they said it was not their responsibility. The actual infrastructural damage that generated that income has yet to be repaired. The Al-Qaeda deal is basically hanging by a thread. We have passed the deadline of July 11th for the 60-day due diligence before we sign. Another 15-day was been given, but there's no significant move in the global marketplace concerning them raising the capital of the $100 million, nor the $300 to $500 million that would be needed. Why? Because there's no decisions been made on the airport, and anyone making that type of investment, remember they talk about building about 5 hotels, almost 1,000 rooms, 11 restaurants, 10 bars, golf course, cottages, etc., etc. You're going to need the airlift to get the people there. The point I make about that Grand Bahama thing is that if you listen, going back for the full 1 year, the government full resuscitation of the economy seemed to have been pinned on Grand Bahama and the number of investments that's being made. And it seemed to be that none of the investments are panning out in the way we would have expected to actually hit the economy. Going back to the professionals, they estimate that at least 30,000 individuals are unemployed due to the impact of the revenue loss. So the question is, how do you get these 30,000 people back to work and reduce economic flow? Now, that brings us right to the carbon credit issue and the oil spill. The point we make is that the government is now back on this carbon credit run. It's kind of a prostitution deal for the Bahamian people, because there's no talk again concerning how behemoths can get involved in this trillion-dollar industry, in spite of us supposedly being one of the most pristine and carbon capture-rich environment. The point I make about that is that we talk about the BPL oil spill that happened in the Exumas, and I know people say, oh, they've been captured. What I want you to do is I want you to just imagine the size of the ocean and then take 35,000 gallons of diesel fuel, even in the fact you can make an argument concerning its spill and that it hasn't emulsified yet, and pour 30,000 gallons in and then say, oh, we'll just vacuum out of the ocean the voluminous amount of oil that has been put there. Okay, so when you look at the container that has to hold that, the container has to exceed the capacity of that which has been spilled, because you will have seawater with it. And so I'm very concerned concerning the impact that this will have on this. The Exuma, the area for which the oil spill occur, happens to be one of the mangrove areas for which we talked about the so-called carbon credits and ocean economy. And it's impossible for anyone, and I invite anyone who says that this could be cleaned up, that there's no impact. You can take the Valdez oil spill in other places. 3 decades later, they're still trying to clean and mitigate the impact of it, even for areas where the oil did not spill directly due to the hydrocarbon impact that flows out around from that.
Right.
And so when you talk about Exuma Keys, that's our national park. And so the impact of this could go on for decades. And so when we start talking about restitution, we have to look at the long-term impact, because essentially, when we talk about this hundreds of millions of dollars worth of credit that we're supposed to be getting per year in these carbon credits, this could actually have an impact on that, as well as the sea life, et cetera, that happens in that particular area. That brings us to Equinox, where the oil spill is substantially more than what happened in the Exumas. Grand Bahama is the second largest carbon area of behind Andres for carbon sequestering and for our coppice. So this oil spill happened to spill on the second largest water lens also in the Bahamas. And so when you and the second largest mangrove reserve in the Western Hemisphere, Grand Bahama has more mangroves than actually all of the United States combined. So when you look at the fact that this mangroves and the coppice and everything is also part of a carbon sink, you could be talking in the tune of billions of dollars that has been impacted by this Equinox carbon spill. For the fact that Equinox is owned by the nation of Norway, and Equinox belongs to a group of companies that's worth almost $1 trillion or more. So essentially, with the fact that they say they've cleaned up or done whatever, I guarantee you, even if 20% of the oil has been removed, I would be surprised at that much, because what you have is hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil that is still in the mangroves, still in the well, that is sunk into the water table, etc. And they simply did a courtesy cleanup in the front for a photo opportunity. And I think it's important for us to begin to look, as the Prime Minister runs around the world screaming that we are the blue carbon jurisdiction of the world, that we actually have a conversation concerning the things we do, because it's going to sound, when I say the game of prostitution, it's going to sound hypocritical for us to run around and scream, oh, we're going to be the carbon sink of the world. What carbon offsets and carbon do? It gives permission for individuals to continue to contaminate, taking into the impact that as early as 2030, the Bahamas could disappear. So we actually would be giving a form of consent for others to continue to pollute, which would cause the Bahamas to continue to disappear going forward. And so what I'm simply saying is we are in an existential threat financially as well as environmentally. And we have to begin to rethink things that we do and practices we make. And we have to be very careful concerning the political connection for these soundbite responses that comes from the political parties, such as saying everything is okay, go back to sleep. And if you look exactly, if you break these down, and I'm sure over this weekend we'll talk about, there's so many issues that this country is facing right now that Bahamians themselves must become involved. The 5-year celebrities is not going to be suffice to get us out of this. This is going to require the collective intelligence of all of us. And so, like for Grand Bahama, the Minister of Grand Bahama and everything else, we haven't heard anything. What we keep hearing is blue, orange, green, ocean, carbon, whatever. No one has given us the ecosystem. No one has told us the steps. No one has said anywhere for Bahamians to become part of an inclusionary type environment in these so-called economic models. Mind you, these are new economic models that will be worth trillions of dollars. The problem is to give us full access to these models will require they come clean for what has been done in the past, as well as give us the tools where people begin to outnumber those that have been oppressing us for years economically, because they do not control these markets. And I think this is the time for this younger generation, more so for those millennials and Gen Z, millennials who's born since 1981, and Gen Z who was born 1996 to 2010. It's time for them to also give a nudge to say, hey, you guys are vanguard of this economy, and to continue to let the 70 individuals who have no reality of the digital reality that we live in today continue to govern them, then we will suffer the consequences, not including the complete disappearance of the Bahamas by 2030.
Are you concerned, C. Allen, that, what we see happening with regard to this narrative being pushed to the world, about everything that you said about the carbon credits and being sort of the champion for this? Are you concerned at all that this is really just because it's, what should I say? The language is sexy. It sounds, like a wonderful thing to be saying, but
Very good. Let me tell you something. What we have to do, we actually examine where carbon credits started. BP, remember the British Petroleum after the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico and all those things?
Mm-hmm.
They were the one who came up with this concept called carbon credits, and they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars marketing this concept that has basically shifted the narrative from the producers to simply pass on this concept of carbon credits and personal carbon footprint. So they've basically spent hundreds of millions of dollars to move the responsibility away from themselves to individuals to almost say you should take responsibility. But what they have done is that we are talking with this 1.5% groove, 5% temperature rise, which will cause the Bahamas to sink. The world, if we was to get the full $1 trillion, we couldn't get to net 2%, 2.2 degree, which will be detrimental to us and other small island states. So what happens then is, so we have now bought into this carbon credit or carbon offsets, which basically says BP and Focal and all these other people get to continue to emit the poison of the globe, to kill the globe. And what they do is they say, we'll put out, let's say, 1 billion tons of carbon. But guess what, guys? If you would actually absorb some of this, you could make some money. But the problem is, let's say they're producing 1 billion tons of carbon. It takes 200 million to kill us, but we will only be able to absorb 100 million. So either way, we will be dead. But they says you'll be dead rich. So the problem is that we as a country, being one of the ones the most threatened by global change and climate warming, and again, even Mary with the aquamarine economy also came up with a concept that says that we should be demanding absolute zero, considering that we will be threaten our very existence. Imagine the 700 islands and 2,000 keys, where we'll have less than maybe 15, 13 islands. Smaller islands, we will almost be keys that will be in existence after 2030. Just Google sea rise Florida and see if Florida itself will almost be disappeared. And so what we have done is we brought into this narrative that carbon credits will save us. Yes, carbon credits can go to basically directing to mitigate some of the impact that we should be having, because if it's something that's going to be paid, we should be done. But we shouldn't accept carbon credits as our savior. We should accept carbon credits as a means of minimal compensation for what we will be doing to try to stop it. But at the same time, we should be advocating for complete, absolute zero, as Eden Mary said, that we are going to die. Our nation is going to die. We're going to become climate refugees in the shortest period of time. And so we need to have a succinct conversation as to what can be done to shore up the company. Because if you look at where these carbon credits are going, it's going to end up into the slush fund. The government isn't making any money, like I said to you previously. If they, by some chance, were able to pull this off, it should take 3 years. They will be putting the money right back into into what's that fund called? The sinking fund, the disappearing fund, the central deposit, whatever it's that. So what I'm simply saying is that nothing will be directed towards showing up, building defensive systems, expanding the growth, and it's a whole lot of different things. And so essentially what the government has done now is bought into the carbon credits and carbon offset story without any other plans or strategy besides saying we're going to get some money.
And in your view, in the absence of attracting any real investment to the country, that is not going to cut it.
No, the money's going to go into the government treasury, and they're going to use it for the shortfalls they have. So essentially, we will continuously have the water rise. We'll not be building barriers. We'll not be raising the island structures. We'll just simply be saying, okay, we'll have some money while we disappear. And that's a problem for the generation of 70% of the population that is born post-1981, where they're not being told, they're not being educated, they're not being involved as to what they can do to prepare themselves or actually prepare our country for what's going on. So yes, we can benefit from the carbon credits, but it's not the solution. It's the Band-Aid for the gunshot that we have taken and future gunshots we'll be taking on a yearly basis. And so the problem is that government, in its desperateness to find revenue for their shortfall and failure of economic growth, is not having a real, sincere conversation, one of education and inclusion of us into this conversation. I think your show would be very appropriate on an ongoing basis to address a number of the things. Remember, these economic models they talk about, the orange, the blue, the aquamarine, the ocean, the digital, the conceptual, all these different things are economic opportunities where if you used to just put 5,000 to 10,000 people in each of those models, we literally just say we created 80,000 jobs. But at the same time, we have access to billions of dollars in carbon credits that can be used to shore up our shores and create a strategy for the survival of the Bahamas as a country. Even if we lose some keys and rocks, we can substantially protect the identity of this country called the Bahamas, because technology now exists for us to elevate and even build new islands and even expand islands as we know it to make the Bahamas an environment that is where we can continue have a place called the Bahamas, rather than say someplace in Idaho that we get some land from the U.S. government and we'll say, well, the nation of the Bahamas exists in Idaho. We would love to stay right here where God has strategically placed us and given us the resources. We have billions of tons of aragonite, which also happen to be carbon sinks. If you check it, you'll see the carbon involved with it. And all of these different things where we, instead of mining it, we begin to get compensated. So we could get the billions of dollars. We have the land mass, we have the ocean floor. If we take, let's use an example, 100,000 of the 3 million acres that we supposedly have and assign $300,000 value on each of those 100,000 acres, you're talking $30 billion a year of revenue. But the government is not talking about this. They have not mentioned anything about a sovereign fund or not establishing it. They keep giving it this carrot type environment, and no one explains how, when, where, who, whom. None of that stuff has been explained to us. And I think Bahamians, considering that the global economy itself is in crisis, where the God has blessed the Bahamas with geolocation and the resources and to ingenuity within its people to solve the problems not that we face, but also the problems that the world face. The problem is that we have a leadership that is married to 19th century concepts and 20th century practices in the 21st century environment. And it's nothing, you could listen to them. If you listen to them, it's just, and it's the same thing with our civil service. If you listen to them, it's just repeating the same thing. Google experts. I would never trust an engineer or an architect to build me a house who gets their information exclusively from Google without no practical experience. And that is what is being happened. You could almost take the minister's speech, Google it, find everything that he talked about, as opposed to in-depth information to actually prepare our country for what's coming next.
See, we need to do another show, man, but you're so busy, you ain't got time for me.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We talk this weekend, and let's set aside a schedule for 1 day a week for the next couple of weeks to make sure that we begin to educate the demons and they can lock and load with GPS to know this is the place where you get your pencil, your paper, and your activism and prepare yourself. So let's talk this weekend.
Yeah, I'll give you a call. Thanks so much for calling, eh?
All right, thank you.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. So stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. You are listening or watching GBS. Stay with us.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. And welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We only have, 8 minutes left? So let me take this time to read a couple of your comments. Let's see. This person says, C. Allen is a wealth of knowledge. Could listen to him all day. Thank you. And we have another comment. This one coming in from Vernon. Vernon says, first time I heard you talk sense, C. Allen. Build seawall around all major islands. Build the real Atlantis, Bahamas. Well, I don't know if I want to use the word Atlantis because they say Atlantis sink. I also have a message here on WhatsApp line. It says, hi, Michelle. What was wrong with our government seizing that property? Talking about Equinor. Seizing that property right after the Dorian event and give them the choice of compensating us or the tanks loaded with their product would have been money in the tank/bank where we legal market that product. However, I truly believe that the company has probably already emptied those tanks by now. What a time. It's like our leaders don't have a clue. Another message on WhatsApp. It says, well, see, Alan, if these leaders do not listen, then we will be in Oregon and they'll be collecting from tours in the sunken city to pay for our occupation of our new Bahamas. All right. Interesting comments indeed. We have one more news item from the week that I wanted to quickly look at because we've only got, 7 minutes. So I'm just going to quickly play this clip. This one is from Belinda Wilson in the news this week. Bahamas Union of Teachers giving the government 7 good days or else.
We have been at the bargaining table from the 25th of May 2019, and as recently as this morning I would have communicated with the lead negotiator for the government, giving them 7 days for us to sign off on a full agreement. I believe that we have exhausted the time. We have exchanged counter proposals 8 times. We have been in hundreds of hours of meetings, and we are now ready to sign off on a full proposal so that teachers can receive the much needed salary increases and benefits that they are so worthy of.
Oh boy, here we go. 7 good days. So what happens at the end of those 7 days if the government does not respond in the manner in which Belinda Wilson wants them to respond? Now, when asked that question, she pretty much said, well, we have options. And if need be, we will, I can't remember exact wording, but in other words, we will exercise the options available to us. So there you have it. Wow. I just hope that everything works out so we don't have another stoppage to the education of our children, because some of them weren't in school for 2 years as it is. And we are already trying to deal with that and trying to find a way to get these kids caught up. And Lord knows the last thing we need is any other kind of stoppage that's going to impact the education of our children. So they should be back from summer break when? I don't know. When the kids back from summer break? Huh? First week in September. So this is now July 22nd. So you got the whole month of August, hopefully, to work this out. And hopefully this will be worked out, even though she gave them 7 days. I don't know what options she would exercise if it doesn't happen within 7 days. But hopefully they get this all worked out in good enough time so that there's no more threat to the education of our children. Lord knows we can't afford it. Cannot afford it. Boy. So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I just hope calm heads prevail, and we don't see any more industrial action than need be. Particularly when it comes to the education of our children. That would be helpful. So, very interesting week indeed. Looking forward to a good weekend. I had a great one last weekend for my birthday. Oh, speaking of which, I just remember. Last weekend, as you guys know, was my birthday, right? And my producer already laughing. My colleagues jinxed me up. Me and Shelly Lewis. We went to this restaurant where they had karaoke. And they jinxed me and Shelly Lewis to get up and sing. And they were all recording. And I said to them, when we finished singing and dancing, I don't want to see this video recording nowhere. Well, apparently a member of the public was there recording also. And I learned from my guest yesterday that whoever this gentleman was uploaded the video to doggone Facebook. He said, "Oh, I saw you singing and dancing at the beginning." I said, "What you know about?" "Oh, that's a video of you on Facebook." I say, "Oh, what? Yeah, you didn't know?" People, why? Why was it necessary to record that and put that on Facebook for people to see? If I wanted to be a singing sensation, I would have gone in that direction. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know how to stay in my lane. Why you all want to do that to me and Shelly? Why? Whoever the gentleman was, you wrong for that. You all stop recording people and putting things on social media here. Because if I knew that was going to happen, they would have never jinxed me to go talk about singing those songs. I just want you to know, whoever you are, sir, I appreciate that. You shouldn't do that. Anyhow, my time gone. My time is gone. Listen, guys, have a safe weekend, and let's just, do unto others as we would want them to do unto us, and let's show a little love as we deal with one another. Have a good weekend. On Monday, we have Professor Sidney Thompson in the house, and he's going to be breaking down the Constitution. Don't you miss that show. See you guys next week.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is 99.5 Global FM, your number one source for R&B